Nicole heard the loud laughter echoing through the house. Her husband Raymond's friends had arrived. She smoothed her dress and started toward the stairs to greet them like the gracious hostess she always was. But Raymond appeared at the top of the stairs, his hand shooting out to grip her arm. "Go back to the room, Nicole. You're not feeling well, remember?" His smile didn't reach his eyes. Nicole frowned, confused. "I feel perfectly fine, Raymond. I want to say hello." His grip tightened. "I said go back to the room. The guys are here for important business. You need to rest." He guided her backward, his voice low and firm. Then she heard it, the distinct click of the bedroom door being locked from the outside. Her heart hammered as she tried the handle. Locked. From downstairs, she heard Raymond's cheerful voice. "Sorry, guys. Nicole's not feeling well. She's sleeping." Then Marcus, Raymond's friend, said words that made her blood freeze. And what happened next shocked him. Before we continue, please hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss our dramatic African folktale stories. And to my loyal family who've been rocking with us, drop a comment below and tell me where you are watching from. Nicole stood in the center of her own bedroom, staring at the locked door in disbelief. The brass handle gleamed mockingly in the afternoon sunlight streaming through the windows. She twisted it again, harder this time, but it didn't budge. Raymond had locked her in, actually locked her in like a prisoner in her own home. Her mind raced back 10 minutes. She'd been in the bathroom, fixing her makeup, when she heard the doorbell ring downstairs. Male voices, loud and jovial, Raymond's friends. She recognized Marcus's deep laugh, Tony's distinctive voice. They came over sometimes, though Raymond usually met them elsewhere. Nicole had always thought it odd that she'd never really spent time with these men her husband called his closest friends. She'd intended to go downstairs to finally meet them properly, to play hostess the way her mother taught her. But Raymond had intercepted her with that strange urgency in his eyes, that tight grip on her arm that would probably leave a bruise. "You're not feeling well." He'd said it like a statement, not a question. Like he was telling her how she felt. Now, pressed against the bedroom door, Nicole strained to hear the voices from below. The house was old, built by her grandfather 40 years ago, and sound traveled easily through the wooden floors. She knelt down, pressing her ear to the hardwood. Raymond's voice carried clearly. "Sorry about that, guys. Nicole's been under the weather. She's sleeping now, didn't want to disturb her." "Man, that's too bad," Marcus said. "We really wanted to see her. We brought her something. All of us chipped in." Nicole's frown deepened. "They brought her something? Why?" "That's thoughtful," Raymond replied, his tone overly cheerful. "I'll make sure she gets it when she wakes up. But please, sit down. Can I get you guys something to drink?" "Raymond, we really need to talk to Nicole," Tony said, his voice insistent. "We came specifically to thank her. If it wasn't for her giving us jobs at her logistics company, man, we'd still be struggling out here." Nicole's breath caught. Her logistics company? She sat back on her heels, her mind spinning. Raymond's friends worked at her company? Transport Solutions, the business she'd built from scratch over 8 years, now employing over 200 people. But Raymond had told her he got his friends' jobs through his own connections. He'd mentioned it casually over dinner about 8 months ago. "Good news, babe. I helped Marcus land a solid position through a contact of mine. Feels good to give back, you know?" She'd been proud of him. Raymond had struggled to find his footing career-wise since they married 3 years ago. He'd quit his sales job saying he wanted to support her empire and find his own path. Helping his friends find employment seemed like he was finally finding purpose. But they were saying they worked at her company? That she gave them jobs? Nicole pressed her ear back to the floor. "I appreciate that, guys," Raymond was saying, "and I'm glad I could help you out with those opportunities." "Wait, what?" James's voice cut in. "Raymond, you didn't help us. Nicole did. Mrs. Chen in HR told us that Nicole personally reviewed our applications. She said Nicole saw potential in us when nobody else would." There was a pause. Nicole could almost feel Raymond's discomfort through the floor. "Well, technically, yes, Nicole signed off on the paperwork," Raymond said smoothly. "But I'm the one who recommended you to her. I told her all about you guys. She just processed it through the system." Nicole's hands clenched into fists. That was a lie. She personally reviewed every management level hire. She would remember if Raymond had recommended anyone. That's not what Mrs. Chen said, Kevin spoke up. She said Nicole advocated for us, that Nicole convinced the department heads to give us a chance despite some of us not having all the traditional qualifications. Look, guys, Raymond's voice had an edge to it now. Nicole and I are a team. What she does, I do. What I do, she does. It doesn't really matter who gets the credit, right? The important thing is you have good jobs. It matters to us, Marcus said firmly. Because last month when my son was in the hospital, Nicole personally called me. She told me to take all the time I needed. She covered my salary out of her own pocket, not company policy. That wasn't you, Raymond, then. That was her. And we want to thank her for it. Nicole felt tears prick her eyes. She remembered that call. Marcus's 7-year-old son had needed emergency surgery. She'd called him personally because she knew what it was like to worry about family. She'd never told Raymond about covering Marcus's salary. It was just the right thing to do. My daughter starts college next month, Kevin added. Because of the salary Nicole pays me. Before this job, I couldn't even dream of sending her to university. We need to see Nicole, man. We need to thank her properly. I understand, Raymond said, and Nicole could hear him moving, probably standing up. But she's really not well today. I promise I'll tell her you came by. She'll appreciate it. Can we at least leave our gift? Tony asked. Of course. I'll make sure she gets it. There was the sound of shuffling, people preparing to leave. Nicole scrambled to her feet and tried the door again, yanking hard on the handle. Still locked. Raymond, she called out, pounding on the door. Raymond, let me out! But downstairs, Raymond was talking loudly, ushering his friends toward the front door, drowning out her voice. She heard the front door open and close. The house fell silent. Nicole waited, her ear pressed against her own bedroom door, like a thief in her own home. She heard Raymond's footsteps on the stairs, slow and heavy. They stopped right outside the door. For a long moment, neither of them moved. Nicole could see his shadow under the door. She could hear him breathing on the other side of the wood. Raymond, she said quietly, why did you lock me in? No answer. Just that shadow, that breathing. Then his footsteps retreated back down the stairs. She heard him in the kitchen, the sound of the refrigerator opening, a bottle being uncapped. He was getting a drink, making himself comfortable, while she remained trapped upstairs. Nicole walked to the window and looked down at the driveway. Raymond's friends' cars were gone. On the front porch sat a large gift basket wrapped in cellophane, ribbons tied in a bow, the gift they'd brought for her. The gift Raymond hadn't even brought inside. She pulled out her phone and opened her company email. She rarely checked it on weekends. She had good managers who handled day-to-day operations, but now she searched for Marcus Williams in the employee directory. Marcus Williams, transportation manager, hire date 8 months ago, referred by Nicole Carter, her maiden name. She'd kept it professionally even after marriage. She searched Tony Jackson, same thing. Referred by Nicole Carter, James Peterson, Kevin Okafor, all 4 men. All hired in the past 8 months. All under her referral, not Raymond's. Nicole sat on the edge of her bed, her phone trembling in her hands. Raymond had been taking credit for her hiring decisions. He'd been telling his friends and probably telling her that he was the one helping people when it was her company, her money, her compassion making it possible. But why? Why lie about something like this? And more importantly, what else had he been lying about? The bedroom door lock clicked. Raymond pushed it open, carrying a tray with soup and crackers. He smiled at her, warm and caring, the perfect husband. Sorry about that, baby, he said, setting the tray on the bedside table. I know you said you felt fine, but you've been working so hard. I thought you could use the rest. My friends stopped by, but I sent them away. Didn't want them disturbing you. Nicole looked at her husband, this man she'd loved, married, built a life with. She looked at his smile, his caring gesture, his concerned eyes, and she saw for the first time that it was all a performance. Thank you, she said softly, matching his smile with one of her own. That was thoughtful. Raymond kissed her forehead. Anything for you, love? Now eat your soup and rest. I'll be downstairs if you need anything. He left, pulling the door closed behind him. This time, he didn't lock it. Nicole waited until she heard him downstairs. Then she opened her laptop. She had work to do. Her husband was hiding something. and she was going to find out exactly what it was. Nicole remembered the exact moment she fell in love with Raymond. It was 5 years ago at a business networking event in Lagos. She'd been standing alone by the buffet table, exhausted from pitching investors all evening, and when this charming man approached with 2 plates of food. "You look like someone who forgot to eat while changing the world," he'd said, offering her one of the plates. His smile was warm, genuine. "I'm Raymond." "Nicole," she'd replied, accepting the food gratefully. "And I'm not changing the world, just trying to build a logistics company." "Just?" Raymond had laughed. "There's nothing just about what you're doing. I've been watching you work the room all night. You're incredible." That was how it started. Raymond pursued her with an intensity that swept her off her feet. He showed up at her office with lunch. He remembered small details she mentioned in passing. He told her she was brilliant, powerful, destined for greatness. After years of being told by other men that her ambition was intimidating, Raymond's admiration felt like water in a desert. They dated for 2 years. Raymond was working as a sales associate at a tech company, struggling to meet his quotas, but he never seemed bitter about Nicole's success. Instead, he celebrated it. "You're going places, baby," he'd say, "and I'm just lucky to be along for the ride." When he proposed, Nicole said yes without hesitation. They married 3 years ago in a beautiful ceremony. Nicole was at the height of her success. Transport Solutions had just secured a major contract with 3 multinational companies. She was featured in business magazines. She was thriving. Raymond quit his sales job 2 months after the wedding. "I want to support you full time," he'd explained. "You're building an empire, Nicole. Let me handle the home front, the social obligations, the life stuff. You focus on conquering the business world." It seemed romantic at the time, supportive. Now, sitting in her bedroom with her laptop, Nicole saw it differently. Raymond hadn't quit to support her. He'd quit because he wanted to live off her success without the work. The shift had been gradual. First, Raymond started managing their social calendar. "You're too busy to keep track of dinner parties and events," he'd said. "Let me handle it." Nicole had been grateful. She hated the social obligations that came with success. Then Raymond began managing their household staff. "You shouldn't have to worry about scheduling the cleaner or the gardener," he'd insisted. "That's my job now." Again, Nicole had appreciated it. She had a company to run. But slowly, Raymond had started isolating her. Invitations came through him. Friends called him first, business contacts reached out to Raymond to schedule time with Nicole. He became the gatekeeper to her own life, and she'd been too busy or too trusting to notice. Now, Nicole scrolled through her company's HR system, her heart sinking with each click. She searched for any communication between Raymond and her HR manager, Mrs. Chen. What she found made her stomach turn. Emails. Dozens of them, all from Raymond's personal email to Mrs. Chen's work email. The first one was dated 8 months ago. "Mrs. Chen, my wife Nicole has asked me to coordinate with you on some new hires. I'll be sending you several candidates who I've personally vetted. Please ensure they understand that I facilitated their employment opportunity." Nicole's hands trembled. She'd never asked Raymond to coordinate anything with HR. She'd never even mentioned these hires to him. Another email dated 6 months ago. "Mrs. Chen, when employees express gratitude to Nicole for their employment, please redirect them to thank me as well. We're a team, and I want to ensure credit is properly shared." Mrs. Chen had responded, "Mr. Carter, I'm not comfortable with this request. Mrs. Carter personally advocated for these employees. The credit belongs to her." Raymond's reply made Nicole's blood boil. "Mrs. Chen, Nicole is extremely busy managing the company. She's delegated employee relations to me. If you have concerns about following her husband's directives, perhaps we should discuss your future with Transport Solutions." He'd threatened Mrs. Chen's job for refusing to lie. Nicole kept reading, each email worse than the last. Raymond had inserted himself into every positive interaction between Nicole and her employees. He'd asked to be copied on thank you notes. He'd requested that company achievements be attributed to the Carter family rather than Nicole individually. Then she found the truly damning evidence: a forwarded email with Nicole's signature authorizing Raymond as co-director of human resources and employee relations. Nicole stared at the signature. It looked like hers, but she'd never signed this document. She'd never even seen it. Raymond had forged her signature. Nicole's fingers flew across the keyboard. She accessed the company's financial system, something she typically left to her accountant. She trusted her team, but trust, she was learning, had been her weakness. She found it buried in the monthly expenditure reports. Carter Family Foundation, charitable contribution, $5,000, the same amount every month for the past 8 months. 40,000 naira of her company's money going to a foundation she'd never heard of. Nicole searched for Carter Family Foundation online. A website popped up, professionally designed and polished. The homepage featured a large photo of Raymond in a suit, standing in front of what looked like a community center. The caption read, "Founder Raymond Carter brings hope to underprivileged communities." The entire website was about Raymond. Raymond's vision, Raymond's generosity, Raymond's commitment to giving back. There were photos of Raymond at charity events Nicole had never attended, articles about philanthropist Raymond Carter, testimonials from people thanking Raymond for changing their lives, all funded by her money, all using her success, but with his name on everything. Nicole clicked through to Raymond's social media accounts, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. She rarely looked at them because she was too busy running an actual company. What she saw now made her feel sick. His Instagram was a carefully curated shrine to a man who didn't exist. Post after post of Raymond at charity events, Raymond mentoring young professionals, Raymond giving motivational speeches. The captions were worse. "Blessed to give back to my community." When you're fortunate, you have a responsibility to lift others. Philanthropy, blessed, giving back. Met with some amazing young entrepreneurs today. Always happy to share wisdom and open doors. Chat leadership, mentorship. Another successful charity drive. So grateful to be in a position to help others. Hashed community service blessed. The comments section was filled with praise. "You're such an inspiration, Raymond. The world needs more men like you. Your wife is so lucky to have such a generous, successful husband." Raymond's responses made Nicole want to scream, "My wife supports my vision. I'm blessed to have her backing." As if she supported him. As if her company, her money, her hard work existed to fund his fake philanthropy. Nicole found a folder on their shared home computer labeled Personal Brand Private. Inside were documents that made everything crystal clear. Brand strategy, Raymond Carter, was a detailed spanning multiple pages. Phase 1, establish credibility through association with Nicole's company. Phase 2, build independent public profile using company resources. Phase 3, launch personal consulting business leveraging Nicole's network. Phase 4, establish separate revenue streams while maintaining access to Nicole's resources. There were spreadsheets calculating how much money Raymond needed to invest in his public image, timelines for when he'd launch his consulting business, lists of Nicole's contacts he planned to approach. Everything was planned, calculated, deliberate. The final document was a draft email to a business magazine. "Dear editor, I would like to be considered for your 40 under 40 entrepreneurs list. As founder of the Carter Family Foundation and advisor to several successful businesses, including my wife's logistics company, I believe I exemplify the entrepreneurial spirit your publication celebrates." Nicole closed her laptop and walked to the window. The sun was setting, painting the sky in shades of orange and purple. 3 years. She'd been married to this man for 3 years, and she hadn't seen any of this. She'd been too busy working, too trusting, too in love with who she thought he was. Her phone buzzed. A text from Raymond. "Feeling better, baby? I'm making dinner. Your favorite, jollof rice and plantains. Come down when you're ready. Love you." Love. The word felt hollow now. Nicole looked at her reflection in the window glass. She'd built a multi-million naira company from nothing. She employed over 200 people. She'd negotiated contracts with some of the biggest corporations in West Africa. She was featured in business magazines as a success story. But she'd failed to see that the biggest threat to everything she'd built was sleeping in her bed every night. Nicole picked up her phone and made a call. "Mrs. Chen, it's Nicole Carter. I'm sorry to call on a weekend, but I need you to prepare a complete file of every interaction you've had with my husband regarding company business. Every email, every request, every conversation. I need it first thing Monday morning." Mrs. Chen's relief was audible. Mrs. Carter, thank you. I've been so uncomfortable with his requests, but I didn't know how to. You did the right thing by documenting everything, Nicole interrupted. I'll see you Monday. Next, Nicole called her lawyer, then her accountant, then her most trusted board member. By the time she was done making calls, she had a team assembled. They would meet Monday morning before Raymond even woke up. Nicole went downstairs. Raymond was in the kitchen, singing along to music while he cooked. He looked so happy, so content, living his best life on her hard work. There's my beautiful wife, he said when he saw her, pulling her into a hug. Feeling better? Nicole hugged him back, her face pressed against his shoulder so he couldn't see her expression. Much better, she said. Thank you for taking care of me. Always, Raymond murmured, kissing the top of her head. You and me against the world, right? Right, Nicole echoed, but inside she was already planning. Raymond had built his fake empire on her foundation. It was time to burn it down. Nicole spent Sunday gathering more evidence. While Raymond watched football in the living room, she sat in their home office, methodically documenting every lie, every forged signature, every stolen moment of credit. By Sunday evening, she had a plan. She would continue acting normal while she built an airtight case. She'd learned from her business experience, never confront an opponent until you have every weapon in position. Monday morning, Raymond was still asleep when Nicole left for her office. She'd told him she had an early meeting, which was true, just not the kind he thought. Mrs. Chen arrived at 7 a.m. with 3 boxes of documents. Everything, she said simply, setting them on Nicole's desk. Every email, every phone call log, every uncomfortable conversation. I've been documenting since the first time he contacted me. Nicole's lawyer, Mr. Adeleke, arrived next, followed by her accountant, Mrs. Okonkwo. Together, they spent 3 hours reviewing everything. This is identity theft, Mr. Adeleke said, shaking his head. He's forged legal documents, misappropriated company funds, and built a false public persona using your resources. Nicole, this is criminal. What are my options? Nicole asked. You can press charges for fraud and forgery. With this evidence, he'd likely face prison time. Mr. Adeleke paused. Or you can use this to negotiate a clean divorce, threaten criminal charges to force him to walk away with nothing. Nicole sat back in her chair, thinking. Prison seemed extreme, but letting Raymond walk away after what he'd done seemed too lenient. I need more information, Nicole said finally. I need to understand the full scope of what he's been doing. That night, Nicole came home to find Raymond in an unusually good mood. He'd cooked an elaborate dinner and set the table with candles. What's the occasion? Nicole asked, genuinely curious. Do I need an occasion to celebrate my amazing wife? Raymond said, pulling out her chair. I just wanted to do something nice for you. Throughout dinner, Raymond talked excitedly about his plans. He'd been networking and had some exciting opportunities coming up. He mentioned potentially starting a consulting business. That's wonderful, Nicole said, keeping her voice neutral. What kind of consulting? Business development, helping small companies scale up. I've learned so much watching you build transport solutions. I think I have valuable insights to share. Nicole nearly choked on her rice. He'd learned so much watching her, yet he was planning to sell that knowledge as his own expertise. After dinner, Nicole excused herself to take a bath. But instead of heading to the bathroom, she crept to the top of the stairs. Raymond was on the phone in the living room, and his voice carried clearly. Yes, Mom, I'm serious. No, she doesn't know. I've been careful. The foundation is getting great publicity. People think I'm this big philanthropist. No, Mom, it's her money, but she doesn't check the accounts. I know it's risky, but this is my chance to build something for myself. Nicole's blood ran cold. His mother knew. His mother was in on this deception. Raymond continued, the consulting business will be my way out. Once I'm established, I won't need Nicole's company anymore. What do you mean? What about Nicole? Mom, I care about her, but I can't be Nicole's husband forever. I need my own identity. Yes, I'll still have access to her network and resources. Community property, Mom. Even if we divorce, I'd get half of everything she's built. Nicole gripped the banister so hard her knuckles went white. He was planning an exit strategy. He was building his fake empire with the intention of either leaving her or positioning himself to take half of everything if she ever left him. The guys from her company are getting suspicious, though, Raymond said, his voice worried now. They came by Saturday to thank her directly. I had to lock her in the bedroom so they wouldn't talk to her. I know it was risky, Mom, but what choice did I have? If they tell her that she's the one who hired them, my whole story falls apart. Marcus almost ruined everything. He kept insisting that Nicole personally advocated for them. I had to practically shove them out the door. No, she didn't hear anything. I told her I was protecting her from being disturbed while she was sick. Nicole's hands trembled with rage. He discussed locking her in their bedroom with his mother. They'd strategized about it like it was a normal thing to do. I'll handle it, Mom. I always do. Yes, I'll keep playing the supportive husband. A few more months, and I'll have enough credibility to launch the business. Then Nicole becomes my investor instead of my wife's company. Either way, I win. The casual way he discussed using her, manipulating her, stealing from her, it was sociopathic. This wasn't a man who'd made mistakes. This was a man who'd carefully, deliberately built a life of deception. Raymond ended the call, and Nicole heard him moving toward the stairs. She quickly slipped into the bathroom and turned on the tub, her heart pounding. When she emerged 20 minutes later in her bathrobe, Raymond was in bed reading. "Good bath?" he asked, smiling. "Very relaxing," Nicole said, climbing into bed beside the man who was plotting to rob her blind. Raymond pulled her close, kissing her forehead. "I love you, Nicole. You know that, right? Everything I do is for us." "I know," Nicole whispered into the darkness. "I know exactly what you're doing." Over the next 2 weeks, Nicole became a detective in her own life. She hired a private investigator to follow Raymond. She discovered he'd been meeting with business brokers about starting his consulting firm. He'd already registered a company name, Carter Leadership Solutions. He'd printed business cards listing himself as CEO and founder with credentials he didn't have. The investigator discovered that Raymond had also been meeting privately with several of Nicole's biggest clients, presenting himself as her business partner and offering his own consulting services at prices designed to undercut her company. He intended to steal her clients outright. Nicole further learned that Raymond had secretly taken out a loan using their house as collateral, the house she had purchased before their marriage. He had forged her signature on the loan documents, and the money had been deposited into his Carter Family Foundation account. By day, Nicole played the role of the devoted wife. By night, she lay beside a man who was systematically stealing her identity, her finances, and her professional relationships. And every morning, she quietly added more proof to the growing file that would eventually destroy him. 2 weeks after overhearing Raymond's phone conversation with his mother, Nicole made her decision. She would not divorce Raymond quietly. She would not allow him to slip away with his reputation intact. She would expose him publicly, the same way he had been publicly building a false image on top of her real achievements. Nicole planned a dinner party. She invited Marcus, Tony, James, and Kevin, the 4 men Raymond claimed he had helped. She invited several of her business associates. She invited Raymond's mother, and she invited a journalist friend who owed her a favor. When Nicole told Raymond about the dinner party, his face drained of color. "Why? Why now?" he asked. "Because you're always telling me I work too hard and don't value relationships," Nicole replied sweetly. "I want to meet your friends properly. I want to celebrate the good work you've been doing helping people. Isn't that what you want?" Raymond couldn't refuse without arousing suspicion. "Of course," he said tightly. "That sounds great." As the dinner approached, Raymond grew increasingly anxious. He suggested postponing it, canceling it, claiming Nicole was too busy or that it was too much trouble. Nicole refused every time. The night before the dinner, Nicole lay awake, listening to Raymond breathe beside her, thinking about how completely she had trusted him with her heart, her home, her life. Her grandmother's words echoed in her mind. "A locked door is not always a prison, child. Sometimes it's a revelation. Sometimes being shut away is the only way to hear the truth." Nicole had heard the truth. Now everyone else would too. On the day of the dinner party, Nicole prepared meticulously, not just the house and the food, but herself. She hired caterers, but personally set the table with their finest dishes. She arranged flowers and created an atmosphere of warmth and celebration. Everything had to be perfect. Raymond was visibly on edge all day, checking his phone constantly, adjusting his clothes, running his hand through his hair. "Are you sure about this?" he asked again. "Absolutely," Nicole replied, straightening his collar with a calm smile. "Tonight, everyone gets to see the real you." The first guests to arrive were Marcus, Tony, James, and Kevin, each accompanied by their wives. They brought gifts and greeted Nicole warmly. "Mrs. Carter," Marcus said, hugging her. "Thank you for having us. We've been wanting to properly thank you for months. Please, call me Nicole," she said, ushering them inside. "And there's no need for thanks. You've all been excellent employees." Raymond appeared with a strained smile. "Gentlemen, welcome. Please, make yourselves comfortable." Next came Nicole's business associates, her COO, 2 board members, and her longtime accountant, Mrs. Okonkwo. After them arrived Raymond's mother, elegant and composed, who embraced her son and offered Nicole a polite kiss. "Nicole, dear," Mrs. Carter said, "such a lovely home." "Thank you, Mother Carter," Nicole replied. "Raymond and I have built a wonderful life together, haven't we?" The final guest was Chioma, Nicole's close friend and an investigative journalist for a major business publication, someone Raymond didn't know she was connected to. Once everyone was seated, Nicole stood and raised her glass. "Thank you all for coming," she said. "I wanted to bring everyone together because I've realized I've been so focused on work that I've neglected the people who make it meaningful. Tonight is about gratitude, honesty, and truth." Raymond smiled nervously. Nicole turned to the 4 men. "I'd like to start by asking how you came to work at Transport Solutions." Marcus answered first. "You hired us, Mrs. Carter. You personally reviewed our applications and interviewed us." "And who told you about the jobs?" Nicole asked. "We applied through the company website," Tony said. "Then you called us." Nicole nodded and turned to Raymond. "Didn't you tell me you got these men their jobs through your connections?" The room fell silent. Raymond flushed. I encouraged them," he said. "Help them prepare." "That's not what you said," Nicole replied calmly. "You said you got them the jobs." Marcus frowned. "We barely knew you before we started working there. You didn't get us anything." Nicole picked up her phone and projected it onto the television. "These are emails between Raymond and my HR manager." She read them aloud. The demands for credit, the insistence on praise, the threats when refused. "For 8 months, Nicole said, Raymond has been taking credit for my decisions. But that's only part of it." She displayed the Carter Family Foundation website, featuring Raymond prominently. "This foundation has been withdrawing 5,000 naira monthly from my company without my authorization." "Whose name is on it?" "Raymond's," Mrs. Okonkwo said coldly. "He built a public reputation as a philanthropist using my company's money," Nicole continued. Raymond's mother stood. "This is inappropriate." "Sit down," Nicole said firmly. She showed Raymond's social media posts, all praising his generosity. "And now," Nicole said, pulling up documents, "this." She displayed the forged signature granting Raymond authority in her company, then compared it with her real signature. "I never signed this." Her lawyer spoke calmly. "Forgery is a criminal offense under Nigerian law." Nicole then revealed the loan documents and bank statements. "You took a loan against my house," she said. "You forged my name. The money went into your foundation." She turned to Raymond. "You locked me in our room because you were afraid the truth would come out. And when I heard everything, I started investigating." Raymond stood abruptly. "I was trying to build something for us." "By stealing from me?" Nicole replied. "By plotting with your mother?" "I heard that call," she added, turning to Mrs. Carter. "You knew." The room erupted in outrage. Nicole turned to Chioma. "You have what you need?" "More than enough," Chioma replied. Raymond panicked. "You can't publish this." "Truth is not defamation," her lawyer said calmly. Raymond pleaded with Nicole. "I love you." "You love what I give you," Nicole said quietly. "Not me." She handed him a folder. "Sign these papers and walk away with your freedom, or I press charges." Raymond looked around the table, then at the papers. "If I sign," he asked, "I get nothing, your car, your clothes, and your freedom." At 11:47 p.m., Raymond signed. The moment he did, Raymond Carter lost every claim to Nicole's life, her business, and her future. "Mrs. Carter," he'd said, his voice thick with emotion, "thank you for keeping us out of the mess, and thank you for the truth. We had no idea he was using us like that." "You weren't part of his deception," Nicole had replied. "You were victims of it, just like me. Your jobs are secure. Your futures are secure. This changes nothing about your employment. Now at midnight, only Nicole, Raymond, Mr. Adeleke, and Raymond's mother remained in the house. Mrs. Carter sat on the sofa, her face buried in her hands, while her son stood motionless in the center of the room, the signed divorce papers on the table before him. "You have 24 hours to remove your belongings," Nicole said, her voice steady despite her exhaustion. "After that, anything left behind will be donated." "Nicole," Raymond tried one more time, his voice breaking. "I know I messed up. I know I hurt you. But 3 years of marriage? Doesn't that mean anything?" Nicole looked at him, really looked at the man she'd loved, married, built a life with. She saw him clearly now, stripped of all pretense. "It meant everything to me," she said softly. "That's why this hurts so much. You took my love, my trust, my generosity, and you weaponized it against me. You didn't just steal my money, Raymond. You tried to steal my identity, my accomplishments, my very self. And you did it while I slept beside you every night, while I trusted you with my whole heart." "I wanted to be somebody," Raymond said, tears streaming down his face. "I wanted to matter. Do you know what it's like being Nicole Carter's husband? Everyone knows you. You're in magazines, you're on boards, you're respected, and I'm just nobody." "You could have built something real," Nicole said. "You could have found your own path. I would have supported you. Instead, you tried to steal mine." Mrs. Carter finally spoke, her voice hoarse. "Nicole, he's my son. He made mistakes, but sending him away with nothing—" "He's taking more than nothing," Nicole interrupted. "He's taking his freedom. I could have him arrested tonight. The evidence for fraud and forgery is overwhelming. He'd spend years in prison." She paused. "I'm giving him the gift of a clean slate. He can go somewhere else, build something real this time. But he can't do it here, and he can't do it using me." Mr. Adeleke stood. "Mrs. Carter, I'll file the divorce papers first thing tomorrow morning. Under the prenuptial agreement and the circumstances of fraud, this should be finalized within 60 days. He looked at Raymond. "I suggest you find somewhere else to sleep tonight. Being under the same roof as Mrs. Carter could be viewed as coercion." Raymond's mother stood stiffly. "Come, Raymond, you'll stay with me tonight." As Raymond gathered a few items in a bag, Nicole watched from the doorway. This man had shared her bed, eaten at her table, lived in her house, and she'd never really known him at all. At the door, Raymond paused. "I did love you, Nicole. Maybe not the way you deserved, but I did love you." "You loved what I could do for you," Nicole replied. "That's not the same thing." Raymond and his mother left. The house fell silent. Nicole walked through the room, seeing everything differently now. The furniture she'd bought, the art she'd chosen, the life she'd built. Raymond had been a guest in all of it, pretending it was his. Over the next 2 weeks, the story exploded. Kioma's article ran in the business section with the headline, "The Man Behind the Curtain, How One Husband Built a Fake Empire on His Wife's Real Success." It went viral. Social media erupted. Raymond's Instagram was flooded with comments calling him a fraud, a con artist, a parasite. His foundation was investigated and shut down. The clients he'd been courting dropped him immediately. But something unexpected happened too. Women started reaching out to Nicole, hundreds of them. Women who'd had similar experiences with partners taking credit for their work. Women who'd been told they were intimidating for being successful. Women who'd subordinated their own achievements to make insecure men feel bigger. Nicole's story became a rallying cry. "I'm Nicole Carter, and I built this," became a hashtag. Women posted photos of their businesses, their degrees, their accomplishments with stories of partners who'd tried to dim their light. 3 months after the divorce papers were signed, Nicole stood before her company's board of directors. "I'm proposing we expand our hiring initiative," she said. "I want to create a program specifically for women entrepreneurs who need support, mentorship, and opportunities. I want to build something that empowers rather than exploits." The board approved unanimously. Nicole also restructured her company's oversight. She instituted quarterly audits, tightened signature verification processes, and created a whistleblower system for employees to report inappropriate behavior without fear. "I enabled Raymond by not paying attention," she told her leadership team. "I trusted when I should have verified. That changes now." Marcus was promoted to Director of Operations. Mrs. Dak Chen received a substantial raise and a formal apology from Nicole, for not supporting her earlier when Raymond had threatened her job. Raymond, meanwhile, had left Lagos entirely. Word through mutual acquaintances was that he'd moved to Abuja, working a sales job and living in a small apartment. His mother had cut him off financially, ashamed of what her son had done. Nicole felt no satisfaction in his downfall, just relief that he was gone. 6 months after the divorce, Nicole received a letter. Raymond's handwriting on the envelope made her stomach clench, but curiosity won. She opened it. Nicole, I don't expect forgiveness, but I needed to write this. You were right about everything. I was a parasite. I was a fraud. I was so consumed with being someone important that I destroyed the only important thing I had, you. I'm working on myself now. Real work, not pretending. I'm in therapy. I'm building an actual career with my own hands. It's hard. It's humbling, but it's real. You deserved a partner who celebrated your light instead of trying to steal it. I'm sorry I wasn't that man. I hope someday you find someone who is. Raymond. Nicole read the letter twice, then placed it in a folder with all the other evidence of their marriage. Then she filed it away. Part of her history, but no longer part of her present. 1 year after the divorce, Nicole stood in the grand ballroom of the Echo Hotel, accepting the West African Business Leader of the Year award. Transport Solutions had grown by 300%. She'd opened offices in 3 new countries. She employed over 500 people now, and her mentorship program for women entrepreneurs had helped launch 47 new businesses. The applause was thunderous as Nicole held the crystal trophy high. But what meant more than the award was seeing the faces in the crowd. Marcus, Tony, James, and Kevin in the front row with their families. Mrs. Chen beaming with pride. The women from her support group, some of whom had left toxic relationships and started their own companies. This award doesn't belong to me alone, Nicole said into the microphone. It belongs to every person who believed in building something real instead of stealing something fake. It belongs to every woman who refused to shrink herself to make an insecure man feel bigger. It belongs to everyone who chose truth over comfort. After the ceremony, Nicole was surrounded by well-wishers. Then she saw a familiar face at the edge of the crowd. Raymond stood in a simple suit, looking older and humbler than she remembered. Their eyes met across the room. Nicole excused herself and walked toward him. They stood facing each other in a quiet corner while the celebration continued around them. "Congratulations," Raymond said softly. "You deserve this. You always did." "What are you doing here?" Nicole asked, not unkindly. "I wanted to see you succeed on your own terms, without me taking credit, without me stealing your light." He paused. "I'm working in sales again. Started from the bottom. I have a small apartment. I'm paying back the loan I took out on your house. It'll take me years, but I'm doing it." "Good," Nicole said simply. "I'm also volunteering at a men's support group. Guys who struggle with ego, with feeling inadequate next to successful partners. I tell them my story as a warning." Raymond's voice cracked. "I tell them what I lost because I couldn't handle not being the star." Nicole studied him. He looked genuine, broken open, and rebuilt into something more honest. "I hope you find peace, Raymond," she said. "Real peace. The kind that comes from knowing who you are, not from pretending to be someone else." "I hope you find love again," Raymond replied. "Someone who deserves you. Someone who celebrates you instead of competing with you." They stood in silence for a moment. 2 people who'd once shared a life, now standing as strangers, who'd learned hard lessons. "Goodbye, Raymond," Nicole said finally. "Goodbye, Nicole." She watched him leave, that feeling nothing but a quiet sense of closure. That chapter was finished. The pages had turned. 3 months later, Nicole was reviewing proposals in her office when Marcus knocked. "There's someone here to see you," he said with an odd smile. "Says he knows you from university." A tall, distinguished man in his late 30s entered. Nicole recognized him immediately. David Olufemi, her classmate from business school. They'd been study partners, friendly competitors, mutual admirers from afar. "David?" Nicole stood, surprised. "What are you doing in Lagos?" "I moved my tech company's headquarters here 6 months ago," he said, shaking her hand warmly. "I've been meaning to reach out. I read about what happened with your ex-husband. I'm sorry you went through that." "I'm not," Nicole said honestly. "It taught me exactly who I am and what I'm worth." David smiled. "I always knew what you were worth. Back in school, you were the most brilliant person in every room. I wanted to ask you out 100 times, but I was too intimidated. Nicole laughed. Intimidated? You graduated top of our class. Because I was trying to keep up with you, David said. Listen, I know this might be too soon or inappropriate, but I'd love to take you to dinner. No business, no networking, just two old friends catching up. Nicole considered. David had built his own successful company. He'd never needed to ride on anyone else's achievements. He was secure in his own success. I'd like that, she said. 6 months later, Nicole and David were collaborating on a joint venture. His tech platform integrated with her logistics network. But more than that, they were building something personal. David celebrated her wins without trying to claim them. He supported her vision without trying to control it. He was proud to be her partner, not threatened by her success. One evening, they sat on Nicole's balcony watching the sunset over Lagos. Can I ask you something? David said. Anything. That first month we started dating, you kept testing me, waiting for me to take credit for your ideas or undermine you or try to manage your image. When did you stop? Nicole thought about it. The day we pitched to that investor together, you introduced me as the brilliant mind behind this partnership and stepped back to let me present. You didn't try to share my spotlight, you just celebrated it. Because it was your spotlight, David said simply. I have my own. I don't need to steal yours. That was the difference. Raymond had needed her light because he had none of his own. David had his own light and loved watching hers shine beside it. Nicole's support group had grown to over 200 women. They met monthly, sharing stories, offering guidance, building a community of women who refused to be diminished. At one meeting, a young woman asked, how do you know if a man truly loves you or just loves what you can do for him? Nicole thought about the locked door, about the lies, about the systematic theft of her identity. A man who loves you wants to see you grow, she said. A man who loves what you can do for him wants to keep you contained. Watch his reaction when you succeed. If he celebrates with you, keep him. If he competes with you or tries to take credit, leave him. Love doesn't steal. Love doesn't diminish. Love illuminates. The women wrote it down. Some cried. Others nodded with the wisdom of experience. As Nicole drove home that night, she thought about her journey. From the woman locked in her bedroom to the woman opening doors for hundreds of others. The locked door had been a gift, a painful, necessary gift that forced her to see the truth. Her phone buzzed. A text from David. Dinner's ready when you get home. Made your favorite. Proud of you for tonight's meeting. You're changing lives. Nicole smiled. This was what partnership looked like. Not someone claiming to cook for her while taking credit for her recipes, but someone actually supporting her while she did the work that mattered. The village had a new proverb now, whispered among women building businesses and lives. The woman behind the locked door became the woman who opened all doors. Nicole pulled into her driveway, the house she'd bought with her own money, protected with her own strength, filled now with genuine love instead of beautiful lies. She was enough. She'd always been enough. And finally, she had a partner who knew it. The locked door had revealed the truth. Nicole Carter didn't need anyone to build her empire. She was the empire. And anyone fortunate enough to stand beside her would have to earn that place honestly or not have it at all. What's the most powerful lesson from Nicole's story? Drop your answer below. Share this with every woman who needs to hear it, and subscribe for more African folktale stories about strength, truth, and justice.